what's up? Sanisa, Super Bad Estrada here, and I just want to give a huge special shout out to the relay. Thank you so much for all of the continuous support, and thank you for all of the support during and after and before every single fight.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The ongoing situation between Marlen Esparza, the Unified Ring Magazine and Lineal champion, and Gabriela Alaniz, the former champion, as the WBO grants a 10-day extension. Purse bid postponed for Unified Light Flyweight title rematch. They're putting Marlen Esparza's feet to the fire,
basically forcing her to give Gabriela a rematch.
Marlen Esparza and Gabriela Alaniz have 10 more days to come to terms for their ordered rematch. BoxingScene.com has confirmed that the WBO has postponed its previously scheduled August 23rd purse bid hearing per a two-party extension request. Golden Boy Promotions and OR Promotions, representing Esparza and Alaniz respectively, asked the sanctioning body for more time just as the deadline approached to confirm their interest in moving forward with a mandated second fight on August 18th. This committee issued a notice letter to the parties requesting an update pertaining to the negotiations. WBO Championships Committee Chairman Luis Batista Salas stated to both promoters in a ruling obtained by BoxingScene.com,
Purse bid doesn't really favor OR Promotions, who promotes Gabriela Alaniz. The Argentinian-based outfit can't hope to beat out Golden Boy Promotions in a purse bid.
Though at the same time, I don't imagine that the people over there at Golden Boy are all too keen on having to do this fight again, pay for it again.
Not Marlen anyway. I imagine she wanted to move on.
On August 18th, 2023, this committee issued a notice letter to the parties requesting an update pertaining to negotiations. WBO Championships Committee Chairman Luis Batista Salas stated to both promoters in a ruling obtained by Boxing Scene. The committee granted a 48-hour time frame to comply therewith. However, on August 21st, the WBO confirmed receipt of email communication on behalf of both teams requesting a 10-day extension to reach an agreement as ordered.
But if the people at OR can't hope to win a purse bid against Golden Boy, then why did they file a motion for a rematch? Why did Gabriela petition for one?
Maybe she wants another crack at the apple. Maybe she wants to share the ring with Marlen Esparza again, even if it's got to be under the Golden Boy Promotions banner. Maybe it's that way. Or maybe she figures Marlen won't run it back with her. She won't comply with the order, at which point she'll be stripped and the title will go back to Gabriela.
Maybe that's what she figures.
Therefore, having this committee consider the foregoing petition, the petition from Gabriela, it is hereby granted, and consequently, the purse bid scheduled for August 23rd at the WBO main offices has been terminated. The WBO has set aside a September 1st purse bid date in the event the two sides cannot come to terms. The second fight was ordered by the WBO upon review of their July 8th unification bout, which saw Houston's Esparza score an unpopular 10-round majority decision over Argentina's Alaniz.
The WBO don't agree with the judge's decision. They see grounds for a rematch and they're ordering one.
Which is what Gabriela wanted. That's why she filed that petition. The lineal WBC, WBA, and WBO flyweight champion unification bout, which aired on DAZN from the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas, saw Esparza win by margins of 97-93, 99-91 on the cards of Nelson Lopez and Javier Alvarez, respectively. Both cards were widely criticized,
whereas the scoring of Lisa Giampa, 95-95 a draw, seemed to be more in line with those in press row, fans in attendance, and viewers watching on the streaming service.
Alaniz's team, headed by promoter Georgina Rivero, immediately submitted a formal written complaint to the WBO on the basis that the scores had the impression of favoring the local fighter, which was Esparza. The referee allowed multiple and constant headbutts and elbows from Esparza. Esparza was warned on more than 6 occasions, but no actions were taken against the latter.
It's what Marlen's become synonymous with: home cooking. Home cooking in the Abeth Zamora Silva fight, home cooking in the Naoko Fujioka fight, and more home cooking in the Alaniz fight.
Unconvincing victories over 3 of the flyweight champions at flyweight. An independent review by the sanctioning body concluded there exist grounds to run it back. Esparza was granted a 14-day period to appeal the decision. Given the WBO's most recent ruling, it is clear that the unified flyweight champion did not take such or any action.
And this ordered rematch comes as the division's lone remaining other titleist, IBF claimant Aureli Musinho of Mexico, was ordered to next face unbeaten mandatory challenger Gabriela Fundora. As previously reported by Boxing Scene, the IBF is scheduled an August 29th purse bid hearing for the flyweight title fight.
Marlen Esparza had aspirations of moving on from the Alaniz fight to unify with her Golden Boy Promotion stablemate Aureli Musinho, but they're both tied up with other things.
Perhaps this is why, in spite of Marlen being a Unified Ring Magazine and lineal champion,
She is not thought of as being as dominant as, say, Clarissa Shields or Savannah Marshall, Alicia Baumgartner, Katie Taylor, because her victories, Marlen's, they are unconvincing,
all her title fights.
thereby leaving a stain on her world title reign. And where Naoko Fujioka and Beth Zamora Silva, they didn't protest as much as Gabriela Alaniz is protesting and her team. They're not taking this lying down. They're going to fight this.
They are fighting this.
To where either they're going to get that rematch with Marlen, or Marlen is going to have to come up out of that WBO title, at which point Gabriela Alaniz can fight somebody else for it, see if she can't win it back. One way or another, the matter needs reconciliation.
And this is why I picked Marlen Esparza to win on points. By hook or by crook, which she's become synonymous with, are favorable decisions that she maybe doesn't deserve.
What I didn't anticipate was that the Argentines would fight this hard for a rematch or to reclaim the WBO title. I didn't envision ahead of the first fight that there might be a second.
That's thanks to the WBO, that if Marlen Esparza wants to keep it, she's got to comply with this order.
To keep the WBO title, it's looking more and more like she's going to have to give Gabriela a rematch.
I can't say as I blame the WBO, but the sport of boxing is so bent at times, you come to expect the injustices. You come to expect the home cooking.
Their intervention is a breath of fresh air. Men's welterweight news, Terence Crawford explains that he became smarter about business, says it created issues with Top Rank.
Pretty sure you could spit in the wind and hit a fighter that'll tell you promoters are a pain in the ass, but I'm pretty sure you could spit in the wind and hit a promoter that'll tell you that fighters are a pain in the ass.
Pendulum swings both ways. Boxing is one of the most corrupt sports there is, Crawford detailed on Boardrooms Out of Office. We'll take a $5 million guarantee, not knowing that there's $30 million that we missed. I used to be that guy. Let me take this money and just do my job. Let me sign this contract and get this guarantee. But once you get older and once you start noticing that you're in control of your own business, okay, so let me see the contracts. Let me see what's really coming in.
Crawford was promoted for years by Top Rank, but they parted ways in late 2021 and are currently embroiled in a lawsuit, with Crawford alleging that his career was mishandled.
I myself have never agreed with that assertion from Terence Crawford, because up until the Jose Benavidez fight, which turned out to be the most watched fight in all of combat sports that year, not exclusive to boxing, that includes UFC as well.
Up until that point, his stock was rising. His popularity was growing by way of Top Rank's promotion.
But he feels that his career was mishandled. Once I started asking those types of questions or learning a little bit here and there, then it became a problem between me and my old promoter, Bob Arum of Top Rank. And at one point in time, I knew it was time to go, Crawford said.
Not to say that Terence Crawford didn't learn anything, because he did. But the little bit that you know, the little bit you're picking up,
that doesn't mean you have it all figured out. And that doesn't mean that Top Rank wasn't doing right by their fighter. In that situation where their fighter is being frozen out by a rival promotional outfit that would not give him access to some of their prominent welterweights, that's really not Top Rank's fault. And that's what did more harm to Crawford's career than anything Top Rank did.
that's the truth. But some people don't want to hear that.
No, although Terence Crawford is now aligned with Al Heyman in the PBC, he is self-promoted in the same manner as Floyd Mayweather was, who during his pro career so parted ways with Top Rank and pushed himself forward through a self-made promotional company.
It's a revisionist version of history to lay all the blame at the feet of Top Rank. It's a revisionist version of history, and it's disingenuous. It is inaccurate.
I don't see Floyd trying to give the game to the younger fighters because he's a promoter now. I can't give everybody the game if I'm one of them now, Crawford said. It's a business at the end of the day. So if they made all this money on our backs as fighters, and now I'm a promoter, I'm gonna do the same thing that they was once doing and just say,
It's just a game of the business.
fighters are always talking about how promoters are making money off their backs without talking about the money those promoters invest in them in the first place. You get a contract minimum of over $3 million a fight. Where do you think that money's coming from?
That money that you're guaranteed.
Before a punch is even thrown, before an opening bell even sounds, you're guaranteed a certain dollar amount. That dollar amount, where do you think it's coming from?
Terence says it's just a game of business.
That's his view of things now. But a promoter wanting a return on his investment being a fighter, that's just the game of business.
no such thing as a free lunch. The fights and the fighters, they don't pay themselves.
Not at first. It takes that initial investment from a promoter to get that ball rolling. Now, Crawford is happy to be a household name, but feels he should have been one a long time ago.
Why wasn't he?
Most people will tell you that the people at Top Rank failed to secure him the Manny Pacquiao fight, their version of that story, not realizing that if Crawford versus Pacquiao never happened, it's because Pacquiao didn't want it to.
We'll get to that.
The change in his popularity is something he's noticing and considering that it all came after he took care of business. Crawford knows good and well that Spence is the reason he's become one of the most recognizable names around. I feel like I am, Crawford told The Breakfast Club during a recent interview when asked if he believes he's a household name now. I became that in one night.
Most people will point to the Pacquiao fight that never happened as a stumbling block in Terence's career. The Top Rank failed to make it happen, not realizing Top Rank couldn't force Manny to fight Terence, but they tried.
According to Freddie Roach, Bob Arum was pushing for that fight years ago. He was pushing for that fight, and Freddie was concerned. Now, why would Freddie Roach, Manny's longtime trainer, lie about something like that?
According to him, Bob was pushing for the fight, and according to Freddie, Terence Crawford was not the kind of guy they wanted to fight. His own words in 2017.
So was it really that Top Rank failed to secure the fight, or was it that Manny was sandbagging it and he just didn't want to fight Terence?
They tried to make that fight for Terence more than once. They tried years ago, and they tried years later in 2021, coming out of the global pandemic and the global shutdown.
At that point, Manny wasn't a top-ranked fighter anymore, but Manny gave them clear instructions that if they wanted him to fight their man Terence Crawford, who was still with them at the time, he would require $40 million. $40 million guaranteed.
And this was at a time where everybody's coming out of the global shutdown. The audiences, the live gates, they're not all the way back yet. Manny wanted $40 million. Bear in mind, he didn't ask for $40 million to fight Keith Thurman. Didn't ask for $40 million to fight Errol Spence Jr., but that's what he wanted for Terence.
He was sandbagging it. It's very obvious that Manny Pacquiao was sandbagging it, that he didn't want to do that fight.
You're gonna blame Top Rank because Manny Pacquiao was sandbagging it?
Top Rank couldn't force Manny Pacquiao to fight Terence Crawford any more than the PBC could force Keith Thurman to fight Errol Spence years ago, even though Spence wanted him.
Years ago he did, not so much these days.
It's not indentured servitude, you know. Just because Top Rank wanted to make that fight doesn't mean they could hold Manny Pacquiao at gunpoint and make him do it. Manny didn't want to do it, and that's the bottom line.
Their most recent attempt, Manny Pacquiao instructed them, in his own words, to get him $40 million. Coming out of the pandemic when the live gates weren't even all the way back yet. Needless to say, that kind of outlandish demand very much killed that fight.
People choose to be in denial about it to this day. They choose to be obtuse because it's easier to say that Top Rank failed Terence Crawford when in reality, it's just that a lot of people didn't want to fight him. Manny didn't want to fight him. Neither did Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman. Danny, who was made an offer to fight Terence Crawford, but he chose to fight two journeymen instead.
Is that Top Rank's fault?
Made Keith Thurman an offer, and Keith Thurman flat out said he was not interested. We're gonna blame Top Rank for that? Top Rank couldn't force one of their own fighters to fight Terence Crawford. You think they're gonna be able to force a PBC guy to do it?
Where's your common sense?
No, I don't think Top Rank failed Terence Crawford. I think they did the best they could in a difficult situation where their fighter was being alienated and frozen out by a rival outfit that had the run of the place, had most of the prominent fighters, the prominent welterweights.
Most will point to Bob Arum's comment that he could have built a house on Beverly Hills with the amount of money he lost on Terence, but that's the truth.
They had to honor Terence Crawford's contract minimum while at the same time try to find people that are willing to fight him, and that was an expensive proposition. So in the process of getting him fights, They lost a lot of money. Bob could have handled it better.
He really didn't have to say that.
But it was a frustrating situation for everybody. It was frustrating for Terence because he didn't get the fights that he wanted to be in that would have helped to propel his boxing career. And it was a frustrating situation for Top Rank because they're trying to get him fights, they're trying to do right by him, but they're losing money.
There's frustration on both sides.
I want to vilify Bob Arum and Top Rank because Terence Crawford left them. In many ways, he had to get the Spence fight because the people at the PBC weren't going to make it so long as he was over there.
That's what they said. That's what Errol said, that he was on the wrong side of the street, that he's got to come to PBC, Showtime, or Fox.
You got amnesia? You don't remember? And even after he left Top Rank, the people at the PBC didn't make that fight between them right away. It took over a year to get the goddamn fight done.
If it seems like all of a sudden Terence Crawford is a household name after the Errol Spence Jr. fight, maybe it's because Errol Spence Jr. and the people at the PBC were sandbagging it for 5 years. If the fight would have happened sooner than later, we would have been seeing this a long time ago.
Would have seen this already. Terence Crawford ain't the first fighter to leave a promotional outfit because he felt that's what was best for him. Need I remind you that both Artur Beterbiev and Daniel Jacobs,
They left the PBC.
Artur Beterbiev, Daniel Jacobs, F.A. Ajagba, Regis Prograis, he left too.
While we're on the subject,
Canelo Alvarez and Sinicia Estrada left Golden Boy Promotions. Ryan wants to.
Josh Warrington and Billy Joe Saunders left Queensberry Promotions for Matchroom.
Lawrence Okoli and Joshua Buatsi and Natasha Jonas and Savannah Marshall, they left Matchroom for Boxer.
Chris Billum Smith and Liam Smith too.
Shannon Ryan just left Boxer for them.
The shit happens. The shit happens all the time. It happens for various reasons, but if what you're looking for is a one-size-fits-all answer across the board, it's not that simple.
You're just too simple-minded. You're a simpleton, looking for a one-size-fits-all answer for every single situation. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes the promoter's at fault. Yeah, sometimes it's the fighter and their overinflated ego. Look at what happened to Teofimo Lopez.
Look at what happened to him chasing a big bag for what wasn't a big fight in George Kambosos.
He drug it out to the point where it became unhealthy for him to continue making lightweight when he could have done it when Top Rank wanted to do it at the price they wanted to do it, but he felt that he deserved more.
He paid for it.
No, I don't think Top Rank failed to promote Terence Crawford. I think they encountered a situation that was beyond their control. They couldn't force those PBC guys to fight one of their guys.
And that was Terence Crawford's real problem. That's what hurt his career the most, that he was being alienated by several of the prominent welterweights in the welterweight division. This went on for 5 years.
It's not a coincidence that when he finally has the Spence fight, he gets the exposure that he's been missing the last 5 years, because for the last 5 years, he was being deprived of that fight, thereby deprived of that exposure.
It's not a coincidence.
In that situation, there was nothing that Top Rank could do to force Errol Spence Jr. to fight Terence Crawford. In Errol's own words, he wanted to clean up his side of the street first, and Crawford, he was on the wrong side of the street.
What the fuck was Top Rank supposed to do about that?
Bear in mind, Top Rank exhibited the ability to work with the PBC when they made the Wilder vs. Fury rematch and the subsequent rubber match, the third fight. They worked together on that one, but when it came to Terence Crawford, the PBC was insistent on sandbagging it, on dragging their feet. That's not Top Rank's fault.
And it's a revisionist version of history to say that it was.
It was a frustrating situation for the both of them, and they both could have handled it better. Bob didn't have to say what he said about Terence losing him all that money, but Terence didn't have to file that frivolous lawsuit defaming Top Rank. To date, it hasn't gone anywhere, and it's been over a year.
Because it's frivolous. It was always frivolous. I told you that then.
The real reason that Terence Crawford did not become a household name sooner is because it took that long to get Spence in the ring with him. And that's the bottom line.
They froze him out. That bit of it he said himself. They tried to blackball him.
In the end, because Errol Spence Jr. chose to stand on his word, chose to go ahead with a Crawford fight instead of a Thurman fight, which is what they initially had planned for him, that's what got us here.